Can't touch this.
All right, I'm going to tell you, for those of you that know me, like I speak off the cuff easily. This is one of the worst speeches I've had to come up with. I woke up multiple times last night and I literally had to write it down. And I made like 20 changes already. Here we go. I want to ask you all a question. What truly is a word? If you were to look up in the Oxford Dictionary, a word is defined simply as a single meaningful element of speech or writing used to form a sentence. But if you ask people to describe someone with one single word, what do they choose? Do they choose the person's best qualities, their personality, the memories they shared, or the impact that they have made? Can a life really be summed up with one single word? I'm going to argue that it can't. And that is especially true of this gray-haired man right here, Rick Delmonico. Because if you ask anyone in both of the buildings that he led to describe Rick with one word, everyone would immediately think of one. But no two people would think of the same exact one. Rick has never been just one thing to every one of us and those that are not here. Welcoming, supportive, fair, approachable. These are words that many people use to describe Rick. Rick was always the person whose door was open. If you needed someone to back you up, Rick was there. If something needed to get done, you could tell Rick about it, and before you knew it, he was standing in your door telling you, it's taken care of. Rick was also a man who believed in being direct, and a few of us had the pleasure of being on that side of directness, not so much. When you asked him for something, there were usually two possible answers, yes or no. Now, sometimes people who would come out of his office would say, whoops, let me back it up, would say, hey, he told me maybe. But those of us who really knew well understood something very important. When Rick said maybe, it was really a polite way of him saying to you, F you, it's completely no. But somehow those people left that office with a smile on their face that there was a chance. Rick is one of the most smartest people that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. His memory is unbelievable. Honestly, I think that he was a woman at times. He can recall students that he had years ago, remember their names, things that they said, and the details that most of us have forgotten a long, long, long time ago. But I have to admit something. Sometimes I question how Rick ever taught anything. Because if you ever asked Rick to do anything to show you one or two things, he would simply say, just give it to me, because it's easier if I do it. Or he would explain it, and that explanation usually sounded something like this. All right, you're going to click this, and then you're going to go over to here. And then you're going to click the orange bubble, you're going to wait 3 seconds, and then you're going to high-five Cheryl Duffy, and then you're going to click double print, and you're all done. And you'd say, Rick, like I didn't understand it, he'd tell you, you'll be fine. Rick would look at you with, okay, sorry. But there was another side of Rick that many of us know just as well. Rick was the storyteller, Rick was the instigator, the sarcastic jokester, who always had something to say that would make you laugh. Rick told us the stories, such as losing weight so he can get his fat ass on a mule to get him down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. He somehow managed to find and wear a pair of silk pajamas that looked like a suit. And Rick is the only person I knew who could walk into that office, greet every damn person at an office, but somehow forget to say good morning to Dominique. For those of us who have been here, a long time, we have watched many people come and go through this building. New faces arrive, others move on to new places, some retired, and sadly, we have lost some along the way. Through that all, Rick has been a part of the story of this place. Some of us remember him when he first started as a principal, back when he had a nice, full head of black hair. He was coaching soccer and seemed to have endless energy. And now here we are at the end of this wonderful journey. A lot more gray hair, a couple of knees that don't quite work the way they used to, maybe a hip or two that has seen a better day, but still the same Rick. So earlier I asked the question, Can a life be summed up in one word? For Rick, the answer is no. Because Rick has been a leader, a mentor, a storyteller, and a friend. But if there is one word that comes to mind, I have to go with the word impact. Rick, the impact that you have had on our school, on the students who have walked through all of those halls, and on the careers of so many of us sitting here today, that impact will last much longer than after the lights have been turned out in the office that was once yours. And speaking personally, I'll always be grateful to you because you were the one who gave me my start. Rick, for me personally, you weren't just the principal. I still remember sitting across from you in that office 20 years ago with MJ and Stephanie, sitting there, and Jim Caravellano in the background boxing up things in boxes and saying to myself, what the hell is this old man doing? What I didn't realize at that moment was that I was sitting there on the first day of my career in a building that will last me 2 decades in a building that I love. Boss, thank you for everything you've done for this school, for all of us. Enjoy retirement. You've earned it, my friend.